have to get that up again. Which you're doing the dots.
Just remember, you're the one that gave
Allegedly.
I like how that one has so much more about people outside of like WA streams to be like lightly.
Oh yeah, no, I am finding as well.
What's he done this?
Oh, good
That
chat.
one
So, I mean, it says it's streaming, but there's 0 views. What my shares? I have no idea.
No one's alive.
Is it live? I don't know if it's live. Whose YouTube is it on?
Alfie's tournament.
Is it not on
We're going to
Roxon's?
no, Roxon's one's too new.
Oh.
Needs to move one more day.
Yeah, so we're on Alfie's YouTube channel?
You can't just stream to a new YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah.
On YouTube.
Fucking. Okay, share. Copy link.
Yeah, so
I don't know if my phone.
The furthest I went.
If there's levels there.
Yeah, it is. It's on. It's on. It's on. It's on. It's on. It's on. Yep.
we got chat yet?
Not yet. But start whenever you guys must. I don't want to be keeping things for too long.
You two friends.
Right.
Love you out.
Well, welcome back to the January Kollecter Challenge. We are currently in our top cut, playing best of 3, top cut of 4. On table 2, Ben and Brendan rematching, but on table 1, the undefeated Ethan Walters on his comeback tour against Jared, who we featured on stream earlier, who bubbled in. I don't know if anybody heard before, but a very big bubble today. Jared, Mark, Matt Slocum, Anthony, and Chris all at 2-2. But the most exciting part about that statistic is that Chris and Takumi, our local junior hero, both had the exact same opponent's resistance and opponent's resistance, Chris only beating Takumi on alphabetical order. But more importantly, moving on to team preview, we see a Cali Bowl, 2 Calyrex Ice teams, 2 very different looking Calyrex Ice teams. In fact, they don't share any other Pokemon in common. One team bringing the Rain, the other bringing the Psy and or Spam. Two seconds to go and our players have locked in. I hope I'm loud and clear. There are 2 comments. Alright, so here we go. Round 1, turn 1 of game 1 of our first top cut match beginning. We see one of the 2 Calyrex Ice on the field currently on Jared's side. We're watching through Jared's perspective. Calyrex Ice and Indeedee. The Psy but not the Spam, staring down the Tinkaton and the King Gambit. The double Steel type lead from Ethan. That is an Assault Vest Tinkaton and I believe a Black Glasses King Gambit. And fantastic nicknames. Once again, we get to see the Perth nicknaming lore in full action here in our top cut match. Big Hannah. Big Hannah Montana.
You get it back.
Damn it. Alright. Jared switching out his Calyrex turn 1 into Spooder the Spicy Araquanid with Power Split and Wide Guard. We have a Terastallization turn 1, the Terradark King Gambit going for Big Damage out the gate. Big Hammer, indeed swinging its Big Hammer, doing 50% to the Indeedee. That's good damage from a Mon with 75 attack stat. Even with a very aggressive play out the gate. Big bonk onto the Indeedee and dancing with swords. Jared's now with a somewhat passive looking lead here, an Indeedee and a Spooder. Taking a big gamble on the switch out into the Raw Trick Room there, but it pays off. Gigaton Hammer not being a contact and not being affected by the Rocky Helmet. If anything, that Rocky Helmet would have been shattered by the Gigaton Hammer. They loved it. They loved it. I hope you did too, chat. We get to see the spicy set on Jared's Araquanid. The Hatless Incineroar. For those who missed out earlier, Jared thinks that the non-shiny Incineroar looks a little bit like Cat in the Hat, so he calls the shiny one Hatless. That's what I said. Anyway, Big Hamar retreats, and we see the other... Who would have thought we'd see 2 Calyrex Ice actually being brought to these games? I did not. I was not ready for that. Nervousness has set in. No Citrus Berry Pop for the Araquanid, especially not when the King Gambit protects. Power Split going into the King Gambit. Jared threatening quite a lot here despite having a rather passive looking team at the moment. The Power Split significantly neutering whichever target it hits on the field here. Right, Power Split from the Araquanid connecting with the Calyrex Ice, averaging the attack stats of the Calyrex and the Araquanid. And this is a no attack Araquanid, so that is a very low attack Calyrex Ice now. But the Spicy Assurance going into the Spooder. Dark Glasses Terra Dark Assurance. Even running his own Trick Room mode, having the King Gambit be slower than his Calyrex, specifically for this interaction, but getting burned by the Incineroar. Both Pokemon on Ethan's side of the field now significantly reduced attack output as his own Calyrex comes in. And it has 2 abilities. Who would have thought? None of which will be relevant at this point in the match, however. Jared looking like he's currently in control of this game. Filler. No. You take as much time as you normally take. Jared, 5 seconds to go. Naturally taking every second. Quite often loses on your time. That's probably not a real statistic. Not that often. We now see a Terastallization on Jared's side of the field. It will be the Calyrex with the funny tiny hat, the little Chandelure. Okay, we see the speed interactions here. Jared's Calyrex being slower than Ethan's King Gambit, or it could be a speed tie. Hang on, the Calyrex moving here. Now the King Gambit. Oh no, of course the King Gambit. Yeah, okay. Because it's got to be the class of Assurance. Big Assurance. +2 but burned. Effectively neutral. Clear Amulet now removed from Ethan's Calyrex. Incineroar has the option to switch out and Intimidate later on here. Man. But that Calyrex's attack stat is already very, very low. Talk about King Gambit's funny hat. King Gambit has a funny hat. I don't have a lot more to say about it. I like Calirex's funny hat. Look, it's so small. He's got a little crown on his little crown. What an idiot. Who wears 2 hats? Stop wearing 2 hats. Pick a hat. Jared naturally taking every single second he can to lock in his moves. Ethan probably locked his moves within the first 2 seconds. Jared waiting until 2 seconds to go. The decisions have been made. Ethan withdrawing his Calyrex here, probably wanting to reset stat attack stat. Big Hammer re-entering the field, going to resist a Glacial Lance nicely. But Jared also retreating his Calyrex, probably worried about this King Gambit's Assurance. Helpful, D&D, she is definitely helpful. Big slap with the big protect with the big hat. Incineroar clicking parting shot into the knocked off Calyrex, hits the Tinkaton that came into its place. Bit of a neutral turn overall. Jared's still looking like he's in a good position here, however his Pokemon are getting low and the dimensions will untwist. Sebi remarking the clutch Jared cam with 0 seconds remaining. Jared, go back to the game. Jared attempting to break game mechanics here with his very strategic timer stalling. Once again, the clutch timer. Big Hammer dropping the fake out. Big Assurance incoming, but it targets the Calyrex slot, covering both options here. Fantastic name, Dan. I rate that 11 out of 5.
Yeah,
Ethan positioning himself beautifully for this game here, bringing in the Tinkaton on that last turn of Psychic Terrain. Fake out into one slot and knock out into the other just to make sure Trick Room is not going to go up on that turn. Clicking fake out on the potential redirection as well. Incineroar comes in and intimidates King Gambit, triggering Defiance. You can ask him. Just lean in and talk about it. Robert's confused. I don't know why or what about. Probably Dan's new Showdown alt name, which would probably get you banned from the TPCI chat. Thankfully, we're not there because I'm perma-banned from that. Anyway, Ethan bringing back in his Calyrex, resetting the Tinkaton here. Jared's now trapped with Incineroar on the field, not able to cycle that Intimidate. King Gambit once again just going for that safe protect. Oh, but the Heal Pulse coming out from the Indeedee, bringing this Incineroar back to full HP. Ethan with not a lot of pressure to actually damage this Incineroar, and now this Calyrex is burned. Switching out to reset that earlier power split, but switching back into a burn. Ethan now on a little bit of a timer here. His 2 offensive mons have their attack reduced and are going to be susceptible to this burn chip. Helpful being helpful by waggling its finger. Let's not elaborate on that one. Knockoff doing very little damage, but it does remove the black glasses from this King Gambit, reducing the damage of the Assurance. Yeah, that's what I said. I didn't. King Gambit assuring the knockout on Indeedee. Hey, hey. But going down to Rocky Helmet Recoil, isn't that fun? Frosty Rex resetting the Trick Room here. Jared down to his last Pokemon. But this Calyrex being burned isn't going to be able to do a lot of damage here. Tinkaton comes back out. No, it's the Pelipper. We actually get the reveal of the fourth Mon. Ethan hadn't brought his fourth Mon the entire game. My apologies, chat. Necro, I'm sorry. I've let us down. The cheer into death animation is so good. Fantastic stuff. High horsepower into the Incineroar after the burn, not going to be enough. Jared with his last Pokemon clicking the parting shot into the power pump, just doing what he does best and stalling for time, but this Weather Ball should be enough in rain to get the knockout. And Ethan undefeated in Swiss, taking game 1 in this top cut match. Care to weigh in, Robert? Robert doesn't care to weigh in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The best thing about these locals that we play here in Perth is the friendly nature between opponents here. Ethan and Jared's just having a nice little chat in between games. We love to see it. We're very, very, very humble community here. Everybody is friends. Maybe not everybody, but we're friendly enough with the people we don't like. Which is why I'm tolerated enough to be allowed to cast, and they prefer me not playing, so... Just like when Spider-Man overloaded Electrode in Spider-Man 2. Look, it's only a challenge, we don't have to be that, we have to be professional, okay? It's late at night, we're having a little bit of fun. Looking over at table 2 though, I don't think either player is having much fun at all. Brendan and Ben both locked in fort. Either one could have an aneurysm at any point in time. I have triple O dialed on my phone, ready to call. You can tell we take our challenges very seriously, ladies and gentlemen. Top X, we're so all going to get world invites. Thank you, TPCI. No. Not really.
No.
But looking at the team preview, we see Ethan very quickly locking in his team. He knows what he wants to do. He's got the strategy, the game plan. The man with the plan. His name is Man. He is the man. And Jared, once again, using every second of that timer that he possibly can, even though he's probably already... Aaron, I am not... They're having fun in chat about this. I'm not sure what game they're on. It could be game 1, it could be game 9. I have no idea. No, not you, the other one. Okay, just an update. Ben and Robeson currently in game 3 of their top cut match. Game 2. I thought you did 3. Okay, game 2. I don't know who won game 1. Presumably one of them. It might have been a draw. Who knows? We hope not. Alright, game 2 of our top cut match. Ethan up 1-0. Both players here switching up their leads. Jared bringing the Psy and the Spam. Something we haven't seen from him on stream yet. Ethan leading with the Big Duck. And King Gambit, even when it's not terrestrialized, still has a funny hat just for you, Sebi. Thank you for tuning in. It's true. Yes, Aaron, absolutely nobody wins. Not even the spectators. Anyway, turn 1. Will Jared take the full timer? You would assume that with Psy and Spam on the field, he would have a game plan, but it's also Jared we're talking about. What the fuck? Jared's Iron Crown doesn't have an item. Oh, I was too busy looking over there to see what game they were on. I didn't see it from, because we've never seen the crown. My apologies, Char. I'm terrible at casting. I'm too busy looking at other stuff going on. Anyway, we see a Focus Blast from the Iron Crown into the Protect. Weather Ball coming out. Gonna do some good shit, about 60% to the Iron Crown. The dimensions have been twisted. The room is tricked once again. Thank you, Tim. I'm so good at my job. I don't even get paid. The best part about that turn so far was that Jared actually locked in his moves before the timer came up, threatening him. That is indeed Himothy, the Comedia himself. Comedia, however you want to say it. He's never told us. No, he is not him. You are him. You're literally man.
Am I him?
You're literally man. The man himself switching out his King Gambit, probably not wanting to take one of these focus blasts, not willing to take the 70% chance.
That's right, you're just me.
Calyrex coming out to play. Indeed, being very helpful, waggling her finger. Thank you, Tim. I'm doing my best. It may not be good enough. I know. The Ball of Weather coming out about 70% to this Indeedee. The Focus Blast does connect, Ethan making the correct switch. 40% damage onto the Calyrex. I'm disappointed in the player named Man who didn't just say balls to the wall. He's not going to hit this Focus Blast. We keep King Gambit in. But fair play. Once again, you can't hear it, chat, but some humble chatter between our two opponents. I absolutely love to see it. It's the opposite on the other table, however. Table 2 is anything but humble and or chattery. No humility nor chatting coming from Jared about Ben and Robeson's game. Sebi, feel free to put that one in the quotes channel if you would like. No humility or chatter. I'm sure there's a bit of humility. Speaking of humility, out comes an Araquanid switching into the rain, taking this Glacial Lance. Resisted on both Pokemon, Iron Crown taking it nicely, but it's going to go down to this Weather Ball here. I love how its head spins when it goes down. It's a fantastic animation, isn't it? Ethan playing this game much more aggressively, knowing that Jared likes to take every second he possibly can. Ethan wants to end the game as quickly as possible, clicking every kill button. This Palpa looking very threatening on Ethan's side right now. Who would have thought that the best rain setter in a restricted format would be Palpa? Incineroar coming in. No Intimidate down onto the Calyrex. We saw the speed interactions in the last game. We know that this is a very slow Spooder. Jared also having a Trick Room mode on his team. Plenty of options here. This might come down to a bit of a read. Jared can absolutely bring himself back into this game if he makes the correct plays here. Ethan's certainly in the driving seat right now. The only thing Jared is driving is the turn timer. Calyrex being retreated here. Both Pokemon on this side of the field resisting Glacial Lance. Also threatened by both Will-O-Wisp and Power Split here. Jared with a Terastallization though. Terastallizing this Incineroar, probably not wanting to get hit by a Weather Ball here. We'll find out in due time. Alright, Palpa with the Protect. Love the name Birdland. It's definitely a duck, by the way, chat. Jared going for Fake Out. Of course, Palpa being a flying type is not grounded and not protected by Psychic Terrain. Ethan understanding this, as you should if you're playing in Top Cut at 4-0. The King Gambit switching into the Power Split. It seemed like it was almost inevitable there. Ethan trying to preserve the Calyrex like he did last game. But with a much more commanding position this time around. Palpa being retreated. Ethan carefully positioning around this Trick Room and around this Araquanid. Tinkaton coming out here. We saw this last game as well. Tinkaton coming in on that last turn, Psychic Terrain. King Gambit though, clicking Swords Dance, probably expecting either a Will-O-Wisp. Yep, there it is. Will-O-Wisp and Power Split now onto that King Gambit. Ooh, the Mirror Coat read. Reading the Palapa Hurricane there into the Araquanid. Jared making the big read you need to make when you're behind in this position. The dimensions untwist, the room untricks. Now Ethan has speed advantage and fake out pressure here. This Araquanid not having protect. This Incineroar being Ghost Terror also under threat to a big hit from this King Gambit here. Not a lot threatening this Araquanid right now, but if Ethan can play around it like he did last game, he can piece this game. Robert laughing because he doesn't know what's going on. Probably just laughing at Araquanid being on the field. Shut up, Robert. No, I didn't mean that. I mean, go on. Ball sack potatoes. You couldn't tell if that was him or me, could you, chat? Anyway, a lot of switching happening in this game. Something we expect from these two players. Indeed, he comes back in on the field. Fuck, don't send that to TPCI. Indeedy back on the field in place of the Incineroar, swapping one Dark Week for another as Ethan terastallizes this King Gambit now. Rah. Big Gigaton Hammer onto the Araquanids. This time able to eat its Citrus Berry. No Calyrex on the field. Assurance coming out from this King Gambit. Oh, Power Split and Burn doing so much this Araquanid. Big Liquidation doing 70% to Big Hammer. Unable to bonk next turn now. Jared scatting. It's happening on both ends. Do it louder, guys. Oh, the Tinkaton playing roughly with the Indeedee, but it wasn't rough enough. Indeedee survives. Tinkaton taking that Rocky Helmet damage. Ethan, however, trying to set up this endgame here, going for another Swords Dance on this King Gambit. Tinkaton going down here. She didn't do too much, but she did bonk bigly with the hammer. Yes, Robert. Go on. Ethan bringing back in the Palapa, however. With Trick Room having ended, Ethan having the speed advantage. And I didn't call this out earlier. Looking at Jared's team, he didn't bring the Calyrex. The fourth Mon reveal was not him. Well, I don't want to say it's over, but Sylvie, if you're in chat, can you start singing, please? This joke's never gonna get old. Jared with the big switch here, though, switching out the Indeedee. Incineroar intimidating the King Gambit. King Gambit defying Incineroar's intimidation. That was peak commentary right there. Hurricane connecting in the rain. That was a roll for sure. The Araquanid goes down. Spooter has spooted out. Big assurance going in here. That is a plus 4 King Gambit into a Terra Ghost +5. Power Split and Will-O-Wisp certainly putting in some work. Jared's now with the same last two mons he had in the previous game, probably going to stall out the timer here. And now it's no longer humble or friendly anymore. Now Jared is calling his opponents, who he's about to lose to, pathetic and stalling out the timer. This is toxic. Can we get a judge over here, please? Even if there's malice behind it. Not losing with dignity. Speaking of being indignant, the Table 2 match looking about as intense as... I'm not going to say what it was that I was going to say. What do you mean by or don't, Sebi? Is that an or don't as in you don't want Sylvie to sing? Jared now BMing with the heel pulse on his Incineroar. King Gambit assuring nothing with this attack. Oh, the Incineroar does go down. The handshake, the laughter, the joy, the bubble, the undefeated run, Ethan into finals on his comeback tour. That's come C-O-M-E.
Allegedly.
All right, and now for a little bit of fun. For our winner's interview, we're going to, of course, have Ethan, the winner, being interviewed by his opponents, none other than my occasional co-caster, friend of the show, friend of the stream. In fact, you have been a panelist on the O2 Drop before as a guest. Jared and Ethan, take us away.
What's up, gang?
We're here with the winner of that match, Ethan Walters.
And the winner of other matches,
I'm 2-3 despite cutting. I love that. I love being negative and in cut. That's just that tickles me. Here, you wanna sign the match slip, Mr. Ethan? There you are. Hell yeah. Alright, so thank you for showing me how Kali is done. I'll be sure to improve my bullshit for future brackets.
Absolutely.
What are you,
I don't think Colin
yeah, King Gambit, I reckon. Hey. It's so cool to see, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you were +5 at that point, but yeah, you were, yeah. Sure, if you've got good support to make sure that you get the double base pair on assurance as reliably as you can, then, like, the sky's the limit on how hard you can hit with that. I love it.
And I have worked towards that, to be honest. There's definitely during the day. So both around
I noticed that. Your King Gambit, though, is still faster than my Incin. So, does that mean there's speed on the Gambit? Yeah. I must have hallucinated it. 'Cause, I swear your sword dance went off before my Incin, but was Trick Room up there? Maybe Trick Room was up.
in my game,
Yeah. Or did I accidentally grab my 0 speed Incin? Maybe.
But yeah, like the main thing is
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I didn't give you too much trouble with it, but have you had any difficulties facing Scythe Spam with this team so far? Because knocking out the ability to use priority cuts down your options.
Yeah, it does give me some issues, but I often find that
True. For sure.
So there is that. But it does
Have you considered putting Helping Hand over Protect on the Pelipper so that you can lead Scarf Lando with Helping Hand Pelipper and blow up 2 things on lead?
But I do find it like a little bit all so it's one of those things like
No worries. Yeah. I think it's just try and sort of project. Yeah. Project right into the.
It's alright, we'll fix it in post.
Right into the keyboard. No, there might be. See if I can. Is his mouse not working? My mouse isn't working. Yeah. We can turn the mic up a little.
Alright, we just say everything that we just said. How's that, friend?
Give us a TLDR about that.
Yeah. For that, under Trick Room, calibrate specials that are both faster, which means that there is also
I love it. Such good tech. I did. I asked if Spam gave you much trouble, but to be honest, before, as I see that Ben and Robeson have just finished, before we end, I want to ask you, as a fellow Kali I player, what do you think I could do better aside from the obvious running Protect? Yeah. It's been the star today. It's so good. Pretty much. It's like it has the opposite of 4 move slot syndrome. Yeah. It's like this thing slide guard or liquidation. Like on the map, I was digging at that move pool. Like, yeah. That's why I found Power Split. Yeah. Without water bubble. So like the bug moves aren't really like doing much. If you can tech lunge with a smash if you want to drop a stat, but that's only on one target. Mirror Code is mainly there as an OTS threat to Shadow.
You did try it.
I tried it, yeah. Who won over there? Ben won. Alright, we have Ben reverse sweeping to take out the rematch against Robeson after losing. And so we've got Ethan versus Ben. Sure. Oh. Yeah, turn up the yin jam. Okay, yeah. I would love to, yeah. I'm down, okay.
It's a bit later, I'll try it.
I've first both. I know the teams.
Cool? Very cool?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Right.
I love that the standings up. So you're gonna like save me in cut 2 and 3. Like negative record in cut. That's just very funny to me.
Alright, how are we looking?
You wanna sit in?
Alright, quick sound check for anybody in chat. Is this good?
What theme's that, Steve?
Can you hear shit?
It's probably just a delay for them until we get
Maybe.
out of them.
I turned up the I turned up the volume on the video capture device, so I think it's
Right, Sebi's good, Tim's good. Alright, here we go.
Sounds like it's getting volume to switch after it. Yeah.
Right. We prepare for finals of the January Kollecter Challenge. Ethan, currently undefeated, 4-0 in Swiss, winning his top cut match on stream, versus Ben, the 2018 regional champion, beating Robeson off stream in the rematch. We saw them play earlier in Swiss. This will be a best of 3 final. The man versus the boss. I like these names immediately. Both of these players trying to immediately assert authority and dominance. So here we go. Once again, we see Ethan's perspective on stream and the Volbeats. The only thing we saw do on stream previously was get KO'd by his own friend Maridon. Hopefully we get to see a little bit more out of it for this finals match.
By the sounds of it, that next featured a lot of
Discharge. Sounds like that's an adjustment he managed to make to avoid doing that against Robeson in the best of 3. But an interesting matchup here. We've got the Maridon, usually quite good at punching holes in these very bulky sort of Trick Room balance teams, and with Pelipper particularly. But Ethan does have the Scarf Lando as a fast answer. Ben, with his own tools to get around that, though, actually running the Scarf Maridon, so will add some difficulty, I think, to Scarf Lando as an otherwise easy Maridon check. But both sides have fake out. Both sides have other options of speed control too. Volbeat with the tailwind, and Cali Ice with the Trick Room.
The Serena is an interesting one here with the priority denial as well. As we've seen, Ethan likes to cycle his fake out. But the Serena will be denying that. However, it does have a very poor matchup into the Calyrex in particular. So whether or not Ben brings that will be interesting. Both players do have speed control on their teams, but Ethan having the dual speed mode here.
This Serena is in fact.
Is it the Terra Ice triple axle? Excellent, excellent.
Ooh, it's very interesting to see. The Queenly Majesty usually being quite good at blocking priority, but Ethan's priority, of course, coming from the Mold Breaker Tinkerton, so actually ignores that Queenly Majesty, as we heard from him being such a boon in his winner's interview, saying how much it was a benefit being able to ignore the priority blocking from the Frigiraf from the Serena. We see Ben switching into the Blood Moon here.
Serena slot. Confident that his Landorus might be able to live perhaps a Dragon move. Big Earth Power. That is Scarf boosted. That is not even
We see
boosted by the Life Orb Shear Force that we're used to seeing, nearly taking out Earth Luna, displaying its low special bulk over its
it's true.
more modern cousin.
Yeah,
Or no,
and over its physical side as well. And in fact, the physical bulk on this Blood Moon even further boosted by an Electric Seed, but doing nothing to protect it from the Earth Power. Interesting though to see the discrepancy in damage coming out of this Lando Eye. Usually running the Life Orb item would have picked up that KO if it had that extra 1.3 multiplier on it, but
Even switching
the
out.
trade-off of running the Scarf. Yeah, doesn't want to stay in, I imagine, in front of a potential triple axle, which would absolutely remove his Lando. So
keeping the Landorus so that he has a play into
And
the
there it
Miraidon
is.
later. Big bonk onto the Ursaluna just to give Ethan that Pokemon advantage, resisting the oncoming triple axle. Ethan playing very aggressively against what looks like an otherwise aggressive team himself, trying to overwhelm his opponent. Now with the Pokemon advantage.
We see Iron Hands coming out here. A little bit of pressure back from O'Neill. Interesting to see how Ethan might respond to this.
And now applying that having the option to just go for a straight out attack. We do have the play rough on the Tinkerton, which would be super effective, but we know Tinkerton's attack stat not very high. Very bulky.
Such a bulky Pokemon, and I imagine that play rough, even super effective, not going to do too much to this hands. The Serena threatening with only really ice type damage here. Interested to see if that Mon's going to stay in or not.
Ben does have the option of being utilized here, but
We see the Terra Ice coming out now from the Serena, staying in against two targets that resist that ice type damage.
The helping hands coming out. Serena staying in. This Iron Hand's not going for a fake out here.
Looking like a defensive Terra Ice to allow him to resist a potential oncoming.
Ooh,
and
big
a
damage from that low kick.
helping hand low kick. Kelly Ice, of course, very, very heavy Pokemon.
But the Iron Hand's living that glacial lens means it has to target that slot and change it to Serena also is eating does have that use as you get knocked out and pick it up safely.
And no Trick Room coming out from the Calyrex in that last turn. Ethan may have been at an advantageous situation if he'd gone for that, but going for the KO. But Ben reading that as a possibility, going with something you don't see every day, defensive Terra Ice.
It's really showing up.
Certainly a surprise to me.
So often to give an extra stab or to boost the current stab, being able to just survive that glacial lens is very comfortable. Serena is also quite a bulky Pokemon in its own right.
Tink doing enough damage with the player up to pick up that hands. Serena U-turning out, breaking the sash on that Pelipper and allowing Ben to switch back into whatever he wants.
Ben probably in a pretty good position now here. He gets to reposition, probably bring out his Miraidon, which we are going to see enter the field.
I love the idea of a defensive Terra Ice play, using its one single resistance to itself. That's that's pretty good.
Still being weak to fire and being one of probably the worst or weaker defensive types as a whole in the game.
I think 5 weaknesses and 1 resistance only to itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Grass having its own 5 weaknesses as well. So you're just trading weaknesses for more while also sharing 1. It is a peculiar defensive play indeed, but it works.
Weird though how it works. Hey, Ice and Grass being these two types with a lot of weaknesses, but Ice being a good option to have to get out of the big Ice weakness that Grass has.
Especially when Calyrex Ice Rider is so prevalent and such a threatening Pokemon, that Glacial Lance probably OHKOing this Miraidon, definitely OHKOing the Serena without the terrestrialization.
We see a Protect coming out from the Serena. Could this be evidence of potentially a discharge play from Ben's Scarf Miraidon? Has shown no hesitation to risk damaging his own Mons in previous matches, but no, it's the Electro Drift into the Protect from the Pelipper. Interesting that we see this move getting coming in clutch here for Ethan.
Indeed, but Ben probably not wanting to knock out his own final remaining Pokemon and not wanting to be locked in to a spread move against this Pelipper either. Having to go for the offensive play here, but his terrain has run out. His damage will be significantly reduced. Ethan will be have the slowest Pokemon, but he has the Pokemon advantage here and big initiative. This Calyrex will take a lot to go down.
Interesting that the terrain is gone, but I doubt that.
Psychosymmetry.
Yeah,
Automatic effect.
I was gonna say, I doubt that's gonna matter against the red HP Calyrex or the quad weak Pelipper. Pelipper getting outsped here by the Terra Ice boosted Serena. Let's see if it's enough to take it out, or if Ethan is gonna get an attack off. It is enough.
Out to be able to be used here. Mold Breaker.
It's
Once
Team
again,
Town.
coming in clutch. Tinker Time. This Serena.
Tinkerton proving itself to be the best fake out pivot, being able to ignore these priority blocking abilities, but
Serena, he should be able to close out this game 1.
the Terra Ice triple axle, very threatening against the Lando. We're seeing a Terra coming out from Ethan. It is not a predictive Terra Water from
To do is just keep targeting down this Serena, and there is no way Ben can win this game with them.
Yeah.
Serena goes for gold.
The faint play coming out to nullify even any chance of a protect, and the Earth Power picking it up. Yeah. And Ethan picking up game 1 with the pincer play in the back, identifying that Ben had locked himself into an electric move and that he had the option to Terra ground with his next to his Lando. Could just say, you know what, this Mon, you're a restricted Mon, useless now. Can't touch either of my Pokemon.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't being close enough. Keeping that Tinkerton alive long enough just to be able to switch it out and save that Terra for the late game. But Ben looking like he has tech on his team for Ethan's, but
Ethan also being able to have his own defensive terrestrialization tech. He's going to on the terrestrialization, I feel.
Both of these teams definitely having tech to spare, and Ben getting a lot of value out of the early Terra from his side, but Ethan just as much out of holding it till the last second. Very interested to see if this game is going to play out in a similar manner or differently.
You'll have to think that Ben's going to be considering making some adjustments here, given that he wasn't able to.
Tinkerton, his Serena was effectively nullified.
I mean, he did lose the Blood Moon.
That would have given him a very good option to do just that. But
You have to think it probably isn't a very bulky Blood Moon either.
Being on a team with Tailwinds, it probably
It's a speed invested
probably
Ursaluna Blood Moon.
it does have the electric seed though, so it's at the very least very bulky on the physical side if you can get it into that terrain. Ethan with no way of cancelling terrain on his team and none of his own to cancel it out.
Ben looking like he has a lot of counter plays with Calyrex Ice, but Tinkerton is a hammer in the works, if you will.
Yeah. We do see the switch up from Ben. We've got Incineroar and the Volbeat seeing play here. You've got to project your voice, Sliff, if you're gonna like try and speak in your chest.
Sorry, it is late and I am getting tired. I must yell. We almost locked into pure professionalism and then I scuffed it. Would you believe it was me? Valid, my apologies.
Whilst neither of them wearing headphones, this casting can't reveal any information that our players would not be able to know because they can hear us. Shout out to you two players. Thank you very much for being willing to play on stream and participating in our event today.
Love you guys.
Love you both too.
Okay. Alright, here we go. Turn 1. The Tinkerton quickly fades out into the Incineroar.
With the spicy U-turn.
The immediate U-turn out. None of those prankster attacks being utilized turn 1. Perhaps anticipating a trick room here from Ethan, but we've got the boss hands coming out here. We saw last game how much damage that low kick did to the heavy Kali Ice Rider, but actually just a Glacial Lance coming out from Ethan here.
It was helping him boosted as well, though.
It
And
was.
the Quattro boost from electric terrain as well. None of those
Oh, it
things
did.
Damage to the Calyrex here. Ethan once again switching out the Tinkerton after what we saw from last game, wanting to preserve it, wanting to hold his Terra for as late as possible.
It's Tinker.
Calyrex going to protect here, and the Landorus switch in. This is risky. The Landorus could take a lot of damage here, and it's one of Ethan's best plays into pinching this Miraidon, but a very, very good turn for Ethan. The switch only takes a fake out. The feed protect on the Calyrex.
Thankfully not copping a knockoff. That could have been disastrous for Ethan. But very curious to see what will happen from here. Ben's Incineroar, I don't know if it's carrying Will-O-Wisp or not, but that's a big threat into the Calyrex if it can burn that major damage dealer. But hands having only stab moves, not going to be able to do very much for the Landorus, I would imagine. We see a switch out, pivot out of the Incineroar back into this Volbeat.
Has made it a right read. Ethan wanting to switch out his Calyrex here, not wanting to leave it in front of an Incineroar. Ben identifying that. Both players switching, but the rain is set.
Here coming out. Accuracy boosted in the rain, but Iron Hands hanging on, and low kick into the Pelipper. Not doing much damage, but breaking that Satch.
Still doing pretty good damage for a
Resisted hit though. And this is still definitely anyone's game at this point in time. The Volbeat being immune to these Sandseer storms. And it sets the screen.
To hopefully from Ben's side not be taken out by this barrage of special moves, none of which can miss in the rain.
Just can't miss in the rain. Double KO for Ethan.
The light screen not quite enough to protect to save that Volbeat from the Hurricane.
Ethan definitely looking like he's in the driver's seat now, but you can never really rule out Miraidon. We've seen the damage that this thing can do. We saw it win the World Championships. We saw it win the first Regulation G regional. We've seen it one-hit KO Amoongus, a bulky resist that doesn't get KO'd by super effective moves a lot of the time, but it does have to deal with this ground type that it can't use electric type moves into, and the Tinkerton in the back once again.
Yeah, Ethan still with the ability to still with the potential to maneuver himself into a similar endgame state as last game, with all 4 of his mons, including the Tinkerton in the back with Terra still available. But this Miraidon is scuffed. Worth noting, doesn't have the choice specs to boost that damage output. We will see though what Ben is going to lock himself into, and it is the Draco Meteor.
Right on having to lock into the Draco Meteor, not being able to do any damage to this Landorus at all, but healed.
This Miraidon, for context, is not your standard Terra Fairy with D-Gleam that we've been seeing a lot of lately. This Miraidon has 3 electric moves and Draco Meteor, so Ben having to choose between the 2 stabs, both of which have a resisted option from Ethan. And Ethan and Ben both going for a Terra here on this turn. Terra coming out from the Incineroar, it's Terra Ghost, so
Peek out Cannot miss this Miraidon. If it can't protect, the Incineroar Terra Ghost is going to take a big chunk of damage from this Weather Ball in the rain. Oh, it lives.
Rain boosted, but Light Screen is up, reducing that special damage. Miraidon not going to be able to attack this turn, though, thanks to the fake out that Ethan managed to send into the slot that didn't become a Ghost type. A knockoff, though, into the Pelipper, chipping it down, but Ben not in a good situation here. Down a game.
To remove this Tinkaton, the Miraidon can not hit the Tinkaton if it does Terra with an electric move. It can't hit it now that it hasn't Terra'd with its Dragon type move, and with the Rain, this Incineroar is not going to do much damage. And Gigaton Hammer's going to take out the Incineroar anyway, and I think that's going to be down for Ethan.
You know, there was a way. Ben did have a way around it if he anticipated the same end game. He could have side knocked off to remove the Scarf.
That is a spicy play.
And then he wouldn't have had to have locked into Draco, immediately dropping his stats.
That is something that you would only hear from Perth, and I think is that the mic seems to be over this side more. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think it's in here. Yeah.
We see Ben concede and Ethan winning the first Collector Challenge of 2025, the first Reg G Challenge at Collector, on his comeback, undefeated after having not played VGC since Regionals. Of course, it was a different format at the time.
Yeah, the dominant 2-0 here for finals. Ethan, of course, I believe the last time he showed to a Collector tournament, I believe it was a 6-0, a similar story, 4-0 cup, and then two wins in finals, and keeping it up here with an undefeated run here. Oh, I've got. You can give him that back. I've got sheets on my phone if you need. Yeah. Well done, both of you. Though that was
very well played. It's a cool team.
Kind of switch this way because the mic appears to be here somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, you got it right.
I love Miraidon. I enjoy playing it, but I'm like, dude's doing so much Miraidon.
Sorry, chat. 1 second. We'll be with you with the winners interview.
Yeah, it's funny. Other versions of the team, I don't actually have the ground terror on team. I've been playing around with a bunch of things, so normal ground terror. Yeah, it probably is the best way.
All right, so here we are.
Yeah, it's overkill.
I am joined by our undefeated winner, 4-0 in Swiss, winning his way all the way through finals. Did you lose a game today?
I don't think so.
So, of course it was. Oh no, of course you didn't, because both your games are on stream. It was best of one. Yeah. So totally undefeated, didn't drop a game. Let's talk about. First, let's talk about Ben's team for a second. You have the Calyrex Ice Rider. Ben has the Terra Ice Serena. He's got Miraidon, which is just an absolute weapon of a Pokemon. He's got the Iron Hands, very, very difficult for Calyrex to remove. We saw how much damage that low kick did. Helping Hand boosted, Quark Drive boosted, all these multipliers. We've, of course, got Incineroar with Knockoff and Parting Shot. Most Calyrex are usually Clear Amulet. The Ursaluna Blood Moon, Electric Seeds, Terra Ghost. He has so many ways to get through Calyrex Ice Rider, it would seem. But he didn't have any ways to get through Scarf Landorus or Terra Ground Tinkaton, which accidentally perfectly countered his Serena. Tell us about that. Tell us about the interaction there.
Well, so this is, like Ben says, there is a lot of anti-Miraidon on this team. It's specifically designed that way after the Terrabelli's team and the very, very similar Japanese team with Dark Urshifu. Tinkaton and Landorus together having that ground type and that fairy type really shuts down most Miraidon. I mean, less so nowadays with the Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam, but against a Miraidon like Ben's, which is just purely stabs, forces wall damage, when I originally conceived this team, it is very, very good. So, like, there are a lot of options for positioning within that game that I sort of was able to identify. Right off the bat, I saw the
not only did he have quite a lot of earth power weaknesses, obviously the Miraidon, the hands, the instant roll, but there were also a lot of ice weaknesses. So I think that not only was the Terra Ice on Slam very, very flashy and cool, but it was also necessary because it allowed him to make it into that end-game state. I mean, if Earth Power didn't pick up the kill on surrender at the end of game one, we would have lost it.
So you almost played this set the way you would normally play against something like a Zamazenta or a bulky steel type. You know, your Celesteals in the past, your Ferrothorn, your Corviknight. The classic Amphad, all my friends are dead syndrome.
Yes.
So, but against an offensive mon, you don't normally play that way. Was it your game plan going into this set to kind of just kill around the Miraidon and then pinch it in the end game?
Yes, absolutely. Like
That's $110 worth of store
it
credit.
absolutely is. My eyes pop, man.
And Ethan wins $110 store credit. But anyway, tell us about the pinch game plan.
Yes. So, in team preview, like I said, I identified that Ben's Miraidon was the stab set with a Terra Electric Discharge, and yeah, as mentioned, with having Tickton as a ground as a fairy type and Landorus as a ground type, really all I needed to do in that final situation, just sort of 2v2 that it was, all I needed to do was ascertain which move he locked into and then plan accordingly. So, terroring with Tinkerton at the end of the game was a little bit risky because the main threat there was Triple Axle. But I kind of considered that if I was able to pick that up, then yeah, like with Miraidon only having those two specific types of moves, I would be able to, yeah, at least be able to pin it down one way or the other. Like one way was in game one, he locked into electric move. I responded accordingly with the ground terror and Landorus, and then in the second game, I was able to just kind of leave Tinkerton alone because he locked into Draco instead. And with the other sort of aspect of Draco Media being the special attack drops, I sort of realized that because those three kind of key parts of the team were so important, the Ice Rider, the Tinkerton, and the Landorus, the Pelipper was more or less expendable to everything. And in game two, I basically just kind of used it to set up the Sandtear Storm. And I was able to sort of leverage that sort of, what's the word? Not superfluousness, but redundancy to basically get damage down while sort of protecting the more important pieces. So
having redundancy is never a bad thing.
absolutely not. So I was saying before that there are definitely certain terror types and certain moves on this team that I've been playing around with. One of them has been the Terror Ground and Tinkerton. Because it does feel like overkill, and there are probably other things that Tinkerton could do. I've been playing around with Terra Normal, Terra Dragon, Terra Water, Terra Grass, even Terra Stella, to be honest. Just because it can use the extra damage, but
Stellar Terra Faint?
yeah, Stellar Terra Faint, absolutely disgusting. Mainly for the player off inertia and things like that.
Yep.
But in this particular case, I had Terra Ground on it for a long time. I didn't get time before the tournament to change it to anything else. So I think it just kind of worked out in this specific Miraidon matchup. It was very much a counter matchup in a lot of ways, but you know, so it's the way that it goes sometimes with things like this.
Well, even though it was a counter matchup, it was still brilliantly played. I love the team. Just quickly to mention, because we didn't get to display the full team on stream,
Yes.
the Landorus Incarnate is Terra Water. It has Sludge Bomb and U-Turn. The Sinister is Terra Dark with the classic moveset you'd expect to see, but I do like the Dark Terra. Is that just for Prankster Taunt?
It's for that. It's also for Astral Barrage, and it's also for Wicked Blow.
Wicked Blow, of course.
Yes.
It is so hard. It's so easy to forget that Urshifu, in fact, does have two forms.
Yeah.
But when I guess when you've also got a Calyrex Ice and a Sinister, you're a little bit susceptible to that.
Yes, and especially in the best of one first team sheet scenario, Sinister is sort of designed to be my dedicated anti-Urshifu answer. In other versions of the team, I run Terra Fairy because it also covers the Terra Dark Ursh but also has a better matchup than Pterodactyls into Dondozo. And as you saw on stream, I leveraged the Sinisters very, very well against Brendan.
You did, and I loved the assurance on stream against Brendan as well. Having your Calyrex deliberately be slower than your King Gambit, or rather your King Gambit deliberately be faster than the Calyrex, so you could go for that Glacial Lance, that spread move that's going to hit both targets, and then you're almost always going to land the Assurance. That was a really cool thing to see. And if Phil ends up watching this stream, he's going to love it, because he loves Assurance. He's been swearing by it for a long, long time. And he was right.
I mentioned to Jared before that the Sinister is also similarly slower than King Gambit, so I can do the same with Machigotcha.
Oh, very, very, very nice. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for today. Thank you to all the people who joined us today. Sorry about the mic quality not being greatest. We're just using the laptop mic. It's late. Everybody's tired. Ethan's got a cough. I'm a smoker. It is what it is. But we did our best. Thanks for joining, everybody. Congratulations once again to Ethan. Also, congratulations to our other top cut players. Ben beating Robeson in top 4 to make finals.
Absolutely. Great place, great team.
Robeson making the top 4. Very interesting here. Robeson and Ben both losing to Ethan. Robeson and Ben played each other twice. And then Jared with the Haggard bubble.
2 and 3 cut. 2 and 3, I guess.
Let's go. Thank you very much. Tim, Sebi, Baguli, Joel, I think I saw in here earlier, and whoever else did watch or is watching, thank you very, very, very much for joining us. Have a good night, everybody.
Love you all. Hope you enjoyed the games. Bye.
Chance.
That was live.
I know, Tim, and you're going to hear more of my beautiful voice at the Kollecter Cup, because you'll be in the room playing, but more importantly, we'll have a mic.
We'll have a mic.
And you'll hear my voice when you'll hear my voice when the challenge videos from Mechanics are uploaded as well. Love you, Tim. Who else is in chat? Love you, Sebi. Oh yeah, Apollos. I forgot to mention Apollos was here. Thanks for joining, Aaron. You're all gay.